Dragon's Dogma 2 is classified as an action RPG, and that's why people like to compare it to Elden Ring and Skyrim. And traditionally, these games have one key mechanic that kind of makes them stand out, and that is in the combat, the rolling around, the instant reactions, the parrying, the blocking of enemies' attacks, the dynamic bread and butter of fighting there. This is where Dragon's Dogma 2 already goes vastly different, since the fighting is a more tactical approach to combat. And now I'm loath to say, imagine Baldur's Gate 3 as an action RPG. It's more about getting your characters in position around the mighty griffin, dragon, and what's so not, and then striking at an opportune time instead of just standing in front of it, mashing away, and whenever the big attack comes, just rolling to the side. Don't worry though, there are characters that do have movement, parry, and also dodge skills, but it is not the norm. When you're playing a mage, you have to really position yourself on the battlefield where it makes sense, not stand in front of the dragon, and whenever the dragon is about to fire breath, you just roll to the side and avoid it. No, you gotta be standing away and do your incantations and throw your spells and buff your team as you should be doing probably in an action RPG fantasy setting role-playing style like a mage. But hey, if you're then the magic spearhand that has the bolt throw into teleport dash, well, that could be used to avoid attacks as well, as you're going from range to short range and then land on top of your opponent and start stabbing them into their stupid head. The main important thing is that compared to the other games, you're not a singular entity and you cannot act as a singular entity. So there's no I play Dragon's Dogma 2 solo. The game is you and your main pawn plus 2 pawns you pick up, making up your fighting force. And that fighting force will be used to bring down whatever opponent. Do you take a fighter with you and then 3 archers to pepper them with arrows? Do you have a mage mixed in for the elemental damages? Or are we going for a thief that you would like to cut up the legs of your opponent so they stumble more? Because these are all elements that matter. There's trolls that you could make fall over. You can use the environment with explosions to have a river tear them away or stones hitting them from on top. And yes, if you do want to beat a dragon, you probably should have someone sitting on top of the dragon smacking down on it. This is not you versus the world. This is you and your buddies versus the world, which makes you have to already approach combat vastly different and think about a strategy of how to take someone down and not just, I will simply react and just roll out of the attacks, and even if I'm lower leveled, I'll just make do. I mean, think about The Witcher 3, and you can technically beat the game with only rolling and dodging and using one of your magical glyphs. Don't even have to engage with the game at all, oils whatsoever, making your weapons special and all that kind of stuff. Just play it Elden Ring style or Souls-like style and beat it. That will not be Dragon's Dogma 2 for you. You gotta use all the tools given to you for the best outcome. And this is where Dragon's Dogma 2 becomes even more interesting, because since it's you and your main pawn, and let's assume you're playing a archer and your main pawn is a mage. So that's a cool team. That means for your 2 friends, you probably want to pick up something like a tank, maybe a thief, maybe a warrior, maybe a fighter, something that can stand in the front line, and then you add another sorcerer to it to make bigger rituals eventually. But this would only work for certain opponents. I mean, if you're fighting a griffin who's more agile and more in the air, you might want to take 2 fellow spellcasters with you and just make do with what you have and use your archer as kind of like a semi-off tank going around and trying to pull aggro at times. Every opponent will need you to have a good understanding of what you need to do, when you need to do, and who should you take with you. And if you don't want to do this, if you want to like ignore the pawn system, just run around with you and your friend, this is not Dragon's Dogma 2 for you. If you're used for this solo hero adventure, you versus the world, this is not Dragon's Dogma 2 for you. It is one of their unique standout features, what makes Dragon's Dogma what Dragon's Dogma is. But that's only one thing. Now, the second big part that differentiates the game is no quest markers on NPCs, no quest markers in general, like no sense of direction in that case. If you enter a town, there's not going to be, these are your quest givers, talk to them. It's rather you walk into a town and suddenly the blacksmith is like, oi, you there, come over, Cully. And then you're going to talk to him and he'll tell you about that mine that is filled with monsters, and he's been having like problems with his iron supplies. He won't tell you to go there to fix it. Mostly he's informing you about the situation, and he's maybe going to be mentioning that he would like to have more iron again. Then you can choose to find out by talking to other villagers where said mine is, and maybe even figure out what monsters in there to prepare accordingly to take the right skills, the right pawns and everything. And then you'll talk to the town mayor, and he's going to tell you, oh yeah, the mine the smith is talking about, there's a troll hidden in there. Boom, you know it's a troll. That's how you figure out Dragon's Dogma. It's going to be you immersed into the game, discovering and adventuring through what is there. It's not just simply going to be this, you know, The Witcher. I like to take The Witcher here because you have all these quests, you know where all they are, all the things you have to do. Nah. And an intriguing part here is time. You might get into a town, and this was kind of already shown us, and there's a barkeeper, and he's again, Oi Kali, come over here. And he's going to tell you there's a boy who get lost. Yeah, he might have been captured by wolves. And you'll talk to a lady right next to it, and she's that one boy. Yeah, he was always playing around the blue flowers outside the village. And then you'll go outside the village at night, and you see the blue flowers glowing, and you travel after them to kind of find the boy and get some more clues. And well, you could go and find the boy. You could also get off track to discover more of the world because it's kind of interesting. And that's where it's similar to Elden Ring, where things get interesting and you want to discover them. But if you do that, if you get off track, it might be that the poor boy gets savaged by whatever took it, wolves, bears, undead, and therefore the boy is dead. And then the people in town hate you. So actions have consequences, or not actions have consequences, impactful on the world to change things. But this no sense of direction, this no tangible grasping of the game is more of a sandbox feel that a lot of people might simply not like. Because I, for example, play games to start at point A, end at point B, and C, D, E, F, G in between are steps I can do, and I know where these steps are to pick them up. Going into a town and not knowing, like, you have all the choice in the world. Choice can be good, but choice can also be overwhelming. Some people don't play games to have choice. They want to be limited in their choice and do what they're told to do. Now, if that is what you're looking for, do not play Dragon's Dogma 2, because here it is all about truly you, your buddies, your pawns, going on an adventure, the Hobbit style, just without any steps in between. These are the steps that you choose to engage with yourself, that you form yourself. You're going to be talking to people. You're going to be engaging in dialogues. It's not only about murdering monsters and constantly being out there and slaying. No, you will have to be doing some detective work, some research, some talks. One very important thing to mention is no fast travel. There is ox carts that bring you around the world, but even that isn't really fast travel because you can be attacked by monsters and then that's it for your traveling kind of thing. I mean, giant troll might bar you away or jump down from a mountain and be like, oh, ox cart, I want the oxen. The philosophy of the developers is actually pretty damn good here, I'll have to say. They're saying that fast travel is only there because your games are actually boring. Because traveling doesn't have to be boring. Traveling has to have this sense of want to discover, of the untold mysteries of the world around you, and you wanting to engage with these mysteries. I had that the first time I played through Elden Ring, drawing the parallel there again, where you really open the door after the tutorial and you see the world unfold in front of you and you're like, oh, there's a shiny cave. Oh, what's down there? Can I somehow make my way down to the beach and find the items? I can see a castle in the back of the mist and I want to know what's inside that damn castle. That was my Elden Ring experience, to really find out everything. Is there a boss hidden or not? And that's probably what Dragon's Dogma 2 is doing as well. They're like, sure, I mean, if you go from town A to town B, and you'll have to travel a while for that, there's going to be a lot of intriguing things on the way. A cave to discover, a river stream to follow, a waterfall that has something hidden behind it, an abandoned shack in the middle of the woods and you don't know who was there, with blood splattered on the ground, leading in a trail somewhere else. All these kind of things that make you want to adventure, leading then again to this less hand-holding, more doing what you want to do. And yes, you might not finish a town because you're going out too early and you missed out on a quest. It can be frustrating and annoying for the 100%ers, people that want to really finish everything. But then again, if you're a person like that that wants to really finish everything, you'll probably do the discover as it's meant to be discovered. Let's wrap together what you should enjoy to actually enjoy Dragon's Dogma 2. It's team-based combat, you and your pawns, you have to prepare them accordingly. So going in with the wrong skills, for example, the archer has a gigantic ricocheting skill that bounces off and does a lot of damage. It doesn't work in the open world, it does work in caves. So pick the right skills for the right situation. Go in prepared, think about it, play the game actually. Don't half-ass the game, full-ass the game. No hand-holding, no quests, no fast traveling. Yes, quests, but not quests in the common sense like World of Warcraft marking you exactly where to farm these 3 horns from elks, and the elks actually don't have horns, so you have to farm 25 of them. And last but not least, listening to NPCs, which is probably one of the hardest things to do since we got trained to completely ignore NPCs, like click, 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 and then just press accept at the end. But this time you need to actually listen, pay attention. They're telling you important details. The boy is wearing a red shirt. The boy has been playing at the Blue Flowers. There is a waterfall behind the village with a cave in it. And you're like, and you wonder, where am I supposed to go? It can be hard for content creators as they're splitting their attention between chat and the game. But I guess it's all about paying attention when attention needs to be paid. Is this a game you're looking forward to? Is this something you'd be excited for? Then pick your class right now. Tell me which one would you actually choose and enjoy that video. Thank you.